is for our viewers, for the global entrepreneurs. Those are in our ecosystem. We have more than thousands of startups in our ecosystem, and more than 20 plus companies partnered with us. Many good firms. So, what is the tip? What's a pro tip for the entrepreneurs now today regarding storytelling, or regarding selling, regarding marketing? What is the tip that you want to give them?
I think the basic tip is to actually tell some stories. One of the biggest problems I find when I talk to people about storytelling is that they just don't do it. It's not. Sure, you can learn how to be better at it. There's plenty of things that you can teach people in how to improve their storytelling, but a lot of people are actually not that bad at it if they try. So what I tend to tell people is simply this: whatever you're trying to do, find an example that helps you tell that. So there's a line that, unfortunately, it's not mine, which is never tell a story without a point, and never make a point without a story. So what is it that you're trying to talk about? Okay, have you lived something similar? Has anyone lived something similar? Find an example, find a story, and share it that way, because that's almost certainly going to be more engaging than whatever you can write without a story. And if you just get into the habit of always looking for an example from your life, from someone else's life, from another business, from the movies, like whatever it is that you want to talk about, think of your favorite movie. Is there a scene in there that helps you explain anything that you're trying to get across to people? Because it's going to make your communication a lot more memorable than if it's just you trying to be smart or you trying to be funny, which most people will struggle with. So, don't invent things. Pick real examples from your life, real examples from the movies, real examples from other entrepreneurs' lives, and that will help your communication, even if you haven't learned how to do that the best way possible. But just get started.
So I think from your that saying, it's just my personal question: is it okay to lie with the story?
So the simple answer is no, but it's a little more complicated than that.
Exactly.
So there's two types of lies. There's the lie of commission, which is when you're putting something in the story that wasn't there. And there's a lie of omission, where you're just taking stuff out. Commission is not okay. Omission is fine. But what I'm trying to say here is you can't change what the story is about. You can't change what happened. You can simplify so it flows a little better. Because if I had to tell you everything that happened, no story would last an hours and hours, right? So if I have to tell you something that happened to me yesterday, there's a good chance that the story starts at 10 o'clock in the morning and it goes all the way to about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's 3 hours. I'm not going to tell you for 3 hours. What's really important is what happened over those 30 seconds, but I have to tell you a little more so you understand. I have to tell you what happened after. So I just have to think, okay, what happened was that I went into a shop and someone tried to pick my pocket, right? Fine. I don't need to tell you about everything that happened in the shop. I don't need to tell you about any conversation I had that doesn't automatically refer to the fact that someone tried to pick my pocket. So you are taking stuff out every time you tell a story. Is just figuring out what can you take out without lying. So one simple way to do this is, if you had a friend with you and that friend saw exactly what had happened and you told the story the way you're telling now, would that friend look at you and say, that's not how it happened? Because if that's the case, you've changed the story too much. If they say, yeah, that's pretty much what happened, that's okay, right? So you can take stuff out to make the story easier to understand, but you shouldn't put stuff in. You should never change the actions of the characters. You should never make people say what they haven't said. So take stuff out, simplify, but don't. One good example is the movies. So when you might have paid attention to this before, but in a movie or a TV show, people answer the phone. They never say, "Hi, who is it?"
Exactly.
They just start talking because it's irrelevant to do the polite stuff that everybody does when they answer the phone. It just takes too much time in the movie. No one cares about it, right? So you just take that out. And if there's 5 different characters, when all you really need is one character, you make all of them be one character, because it doesn't really, if you were the main character and there were 5, government employees that were giving you different forms to fill in, but it doesn't really matter. The whole point of the story is that how, government bureaucracy is a pain in the neck. You can make the 5 different employees be one employee. Like, that doesn't really change the truth of the story. So that type of thing is fine to do. What you shouldn't do is have someone do something that they never did. Like, they cannot say, well, I never did that. That never happened. Then you've changed too much.
Great. So thank you so much for explaining this stuff, because I think the base of the story is important. We can change the base of the story. We can change the emotion of the story. Of course, we can put some spices on it to make it interesting, but not the whole bunch of the gist and crux of the story. So that's an enlightening tip for everyone. So if I'm speaking about for clients or for entrepreneurs, so how much failure is important to help us drive ourselves to success? Because entrepreneurship is all about like learning and successfulness and failure. So how much is important to drive ourselves to a success?
I think there's 2 levels to that. The first one is that I'm not sure failure is necessarily the word, but you need pain. Something needs to be bothering you. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be trying to start a business, become an entrepreneur, whatever we want to call that. That doesn't necessarily mean failure. It might just mean you might be actually very successful, but you feel unfulfilled, as I did before I started this new career. But there needs to be pain somewhere. Otherwise, there's no motivation to do anything. Now, if that pain comes with failure, that's just how it happened, right? But the pain needs to be there. The other aspect of that is how much you fail on a day-to-day basis. And I think the answer is that you have to fail to a certain extent all the time, because if you're not failing, you're not trying new things. You're not trying hard enough in some cases. So take social media, for example, right? I can write text posts reasonably well. So I know how the types of views that I get when I do that. I know that I get a reasonable engagement when I do it. Mm-hmm. Now, if I can stick with that, a post is never going to fail exactly. But if I decide that I want to start putting videos out, there's a very good chance that the first videos I'm going to make are not going to be as successful, because I don't know what I'm doing.
True.
And if I'm too concerned about failing, I'm either not going to do it, or I'm going to do it. I'm going to find something that works, and I'm never going to try something different because I'm afraid of failing. And the reality is that in social media, as in a lot of other things with business, you fail all the time. Most people don't care, don't even notice. And that's how you realize, okay, well, that doesn't work as well. Maybe I need to try something different. Maybe I need to do more of it. Maybe I need to do less of it. So I think that failure is just feedback to some extent. And if you don't have the small failures, all you usually have is the big one, right? So you keep doing the same thing over and over. You feel reasonably competent, but unless you're actually being successful with that, it's eventually not going to work. And if you haven't trained yourself to deal with the small failures, when the big one comes, you're going to go, oh, wow, that didn't work. So maybe I have to go off and do something else now. Because actually it should just be, well, this didn't work, go here. But this is not working, go here. This is not working, go there, right? So I think you need small failures all the time, because they show you the way that is actually more likely to be successful.
I think that's a kind of hit and trial, we can say, that this is not successful. We learn those failures and we implemented it once again in a good way. So we can go and